Did you know that water is the most extracted material on Earth? But did you know that sand is the second most extracted material on Earth? We will come to this point. It took me thousands of kilometers of walking across India along its rivers to understand this interconnection. And this interconnection is where my work sits today. I'm Siddharth, and I run Veditum India Foundation. And I'm very happy to be here talking to you about my journey. I trained as an aerospace engineer at IIT Kharagpur. And during that journey, I realized that there was so much more about this country that I did not know. How would it be possible for me to know more about this country that I was living in? What were the problems that I could possibly solve? I have a mad friend, as mad as me, Ujjwal, and together both of us decided that we're going to go on a long cycling journey. And this cycling journey is supposed to make us see this country in a different way, in a way that I've not experienced having been born and raised in a city. And we cycled. We cycled from Kolkata to Mumbai in 2014. And it was an experience like I'd never had. I saw a part of this country that was completely far removed from me. Especially as urban people, we really don't know what's happening. But I remember in this 1 month journey across the country, I said to Ujjwal somewhere in the middle, it seems like we're going too fast. I'm enjoying what we're doing and I'm learning so much, but it feels like we're going too fast. And I think we need to slow down. And that's what I did. The following winter after this, I walked across Rajasthan. And this was another level of immersion for me. It helped me understand the state, it helped me understand people and their challenges. But there was yet another thing that really stood with me is I was constantly along roads. And without romanticizing the idea of places not connected with roads, there was something that the road was doing. The road brought the market with it, the road brought certain ideas with it, but there was still a part of India that was beyond these. How could I understand and learn more about those parts? That's when I started walking along rivers. Since 2016, I have walked more than 6,000 kilometers along rivers in India and across India in a bid to understand what are the challenges that the rivers face, what are the challenges that people face. It's called Moving Upstream. And it's been an incredible journey having this ability to go on an unsupported journey along a river where every day the people who live along the river sustain you with their generosity. And that's another thing that really changed a piece in my head where the generosity of people day after day for a stranger who had just arrived in their village was something as a city person I was not being able to relate to. Because for us as city people, the first instinct is suspicion, unfortunately. But this changed for me. And I learned more about the river. I learned more about the people of the river. And we've slowly been learning about the challenges that riparian communities face. This is an image from a river in central India. It's called Ken. And there's a national park through which the river flows, the Panna National Park, the Panna Tiger Reserve, also as it's called. In this tiger reserve, there is a proposal to build a dam in the middle of it. And while this will drown the tiger reserve, while this will destroy more than 3 million trees, the most important piece of information that we learned while walking this river is that in hundreds of villages that we visited, less than 5% people knew about something like this to happen. They had no idea that something like this is going to happen. And that is what's very disturbing. That we are so dissociated with communities, we do not include them in our planning processes. And this is the challenge that has emerged again and again. But as I walked along rivers and I met people and I learned about them, I realized that I was only looking at the world as a man in a patriarchal society coming from an upper caste background. So there was a large part of the society's story that was not visible to me by the very virtue of how society is designed. So what I did is I instituted a fellowship program at my organization. It's called the Moving Upstream Fellowship. And as part of this fellowship, 23 fellows over the past 4 years have walked 2,000 kilometers along different rivers in India, supported by the organization. And what they've done, this diverse range of fellows who come from different genders, different backgrounds of practices, different mediums that they practice with, they have helped us understand the landscape, the riverscape, the peoplescape in a very different manner. And they have documented this, they have produced stories from these in their own ways. They have created zines, soundscapes, they've written books, college thesis projects, and it continues to emerge as a very diverse set of outputs that's informing how we understand rivers. But all this walking that I've done and all the walking that the fellows have done always brought forth a particular problem along every river that we've been to. And that's where the second part of the story comes in of the work that we do at my organization is the problem of sand. And not the problem of sand, it's the problem of the excessive mining of sand. And to address this challenge, we started a project called India Sand Watch, which is an environmental accountability project looking at the issue of sand mining in India. And how do we protect the rivers of India from indiscriminate sand mining? You remember I said it's the second most extracted material on Earth? It is the most extracted mineral on Earth. And the regulation and the governance of this sector is worse to start off with. And that's where we realized as we delve deeper is that there's severe lack of data. There is severe lack of capacity and capability within actors who want to take action. So what do? So we delved deeper. We looked at the data on sand mining that existed. We understood the sector. And I created something called the Sites of Violence framework. It looks at the whole flow of sand mining that happens in India. And this is the Sites of Violence framework. Don't bother reading the details right now. But what's important is that any problem that we're looking at, we need to look at the whole life cycle. And that's what we did with sand mining. Identify the different places along this sector where violence was happening, where violations were happening. And what we did in return is we created this project, India Sandwatch, which looks at these sites of violence and converts them into sites of interventions. And that's how we like to think about our work. In an attempt to address this challenge of data availability, we have created an open data platform that documents the data on sand mining from various government, non-government, legal media sources and puts them in one location. And the most magical thing that I find about this is the fact that this is an open data platform. So many of us work in the environmental domain in India, but more and more of our data continues to sit in silos, continues to sit in organizational PDF reports. But the potential of opening up this data is where collaboration and possibilities emerge. Today, you can go on the platform and check out all the data without even having to log in. And with a single login, you're able to download all of the annotated data. But what does this data do? I'm just going to give you two examples. The first example, we're enabling action through creating evidence at scale. On the left, what you see is a sample of a court case which has been enabled through the evidence created by our methodology, by our platform. And this has led to stopping of mining activity. What you see on the right is a collaboration that we have built with our partners at UC Berkeley, where we've taken all these documented information that we have and the intelligence that we've developed on the issue of sand mining, and we've trained machine learning models that are using publicly available satellite imagery to be able to detect where mining is happening, and we can do this in real time. So between this enabling through action through evidence, what has happened is that a lot of administrators from across the country have constantly reached out to us and are saying that there are things that you're doing that we're not able to do in our positions, and we have enabled those administrators to be able to take action. So I believe if we put our ideas out, if we make them open, this is the invitation to everybody who's working in the environmental domain or any other domain to put yourself out there, make your data open. And lastly, I invite you to slow down and create together. Thank you.